Nowadays, girls are getting periods before the normal age, which is the cutoff is 9 years. So yes, that is a condition which we call as precocious puberty. Vaginal infection. So I think every female in her lifetime does face vaginal infection very commonly. So basically, it is all about your hygiene, especially during your periods. You ask me, 1 in every 5 girls is suffering from PCOD. That is an alarming amount of 20%, and it is only related to our lifestyle. Menstrual cramps, they are a very normal phenomenon which every female does face. They're a part of a spectrum called premenstrual symptoms, or that is what the period pain is. But if it is excessive an amount, then you do need evaluation. There could be an underlying cause that is causing excessive pain, like a cyst or endometriosis.
There's a show called Friends. In that, it's said that 97% of condoms actually work.
How this happened? we used a condom.
But condoms only work like 97% of the time.
So, is it a myth or is it true?
Yes, all contraceptives do have their failure rate, and condoms have a failure rate of about 2%. So Ross was not wrong in saying.
What? Well, they should put that on the box.
There's this movie called Bad News. And that movie, there are two different fathers.
Of different babies who have been conceived in the same cycle.
Right.
I've not seen the movie, but I've heard about it. It was heterotropic superfecundation, what the doctor mentioned in the movie. It's a very rare phenomenon.
Okay.
We have only read in books.
What age should we, plan our marriage and plan our kid?
So, well, I'm nobody to tell that what is the ideal age to get married or plan a baby. But biologically, if you ask
Yeah,
me,
biology.
20s is the ideal age to bear a baby, ideally before 30.
Isha ji, welcome to the show.
Thank you.
How are you feeling today?
I'm really honored and privileged to be on your show. Thanks for having me. It is a nice opportunity to interact with your audience. So I'm really pleased to be here.
Always welcome. Could you talk about your journey as a gynecologist and what inspired you to be one?
Okay, so I come from a family where both my parents are doctors. So they have always been my role model, and seeing them working so hard and with sincerity, working for the humanity as we call it. So I have always been inspired to be a doctor. And I think that a skill and a job of doctor, it is unmatchable. Whatever people say, being a doctor, giving someone a gift of life, making someone free from disease, then nothing can match that. So I'm really proud to be a doctor, and so that's why I always wanted to be a doctor.
Okay. Could you
Yeah.
tell common problems that people come to you for?
So I specialize in female health. So I'm a gynecologist basically. So all the gynae related problems and pregnancy related problems. So that is what I deal with. Uh, Starting from pregnancy, high risk pregnancy. Then also I specialize in infertility. So all the couples who are dealing with infertility or the childless couples. So those are the patients I deal with. Apart from that, even adolescent health, young girls who are facing problems with their periods or any vaginal infections. So they also come to me. Then there are other gynecological diseases in nearing the menopause and perimenopausal age group.
Right.
So I deal with that also. Apart from that, I work for health promotion, that is prevention of so many diseases and cancers. So that is also part of my job.
Okay. Nowadays, girls are getting periods before time. So, what are the precautions and what are the lifestyle changes that a girl should make?
Yes, so nowadays girls are getting periods before the normal age, which is the cutoff is 9 years. So yes, that is a condition which we call as precocious puberty. So if any patient like that comes, so we evaluate her that what is the reason for precocious puberty, and the treatment mainly is supportive only. We educate her about menstrual hygiene, how to take care of her during this young age and dealing with periods. So educating her about using menstrual products and about vaginal hygiene. So that is very important. And taking proper nutrition at this time is again very crucial. So proper intake of iron and vitamins and supplements is very important. Mothers, parents, they play a crucial role in that, even teachers at school and educating them. And that's how it goes. And they do come to us for consultation, so we are ready to help them if they face any problems, like if the periods are irregular or excessive period pain if they are facing, or any kind of infection they are having too commonly. So there is that is where we play a role.
You talked about vaginal infection, and what are the steps to take care of?
So vaginal infection, so I think every female in her lifetime does face vaginal infection very commonly. So the basically it is all about your hygiene, especially during your periods. So whatever menstrual products you are using, be it sanitary pads or tampons or menstrual cups, so you need to take proper hygiene measures. If you're using a sanitary pad, it should be changed every 4 to 8 hourly. The girls should bathe every day, change their undergarments. So these are basic things of hygiene that we educate them. And using, if they're using menstrual cups, they should wash their hands and clean the cups also frequently. So these are the measures that they need to take. So there is again where the mothers and teachers play a role in educating them about this.
Right. Um, you talked about cramps.
Mm.
Why does it happen, and what precautions can we take? Um, uh, is there any medicine that we should take, or it's usually said take hot water bottle? So can you explain that a little bit?
Yeah, so menstrual cramps, they are a very normal phenomena which every female does face. They're a part of a spectrum called premenstrual symptoms of that is what the period pain is. But if it is excessive an amount, then you do need evaluation. There could be an underlying cause that is causing excessive pain, like a cyst or endometriosis, which are the causes of excessive menstrual pain or dysmenorrhea, what we call them. Yes, you can use a hot water bottle or just rest and take an off day during those period days. Or you can take a painkiller, is absolutely fine because they are a part and parcel
Because
of your
there's a
periods.
myth that we should not take medicine during that time.
Uh,
But is it okay to take?
yes, if it is excessive in amount, if it interferes with your daily routine, then you can safely take a medicine, no problem.
Okay. It there's a very common problem nowadays called PCOD, PCOS. So can you explain why is it happening, and what are the precautions that we should take?
Yes. So what I feel nowadays, it is a PCOD pandemic because
Right.
it has become so rampant, so prevalent.
Right.
If you ask me, 1 in every 5 girls is suffering from PCOD. That is an alarming amount of 20%. And it is only related to our lifestyle. Though there are genetic and familiar factors that contribute to it, but lifestyle is a main culprit for this. So starting from our diet. So our diet is faulty these days. Excessive consumption of processed food, refined sugars, packaged food, and sedentary lifestyle. So all these contribute to what we call as PCOD. So just like obesity, diabetes, it is one of the pandemic of PCOS which is happening right now. And the treatment again lies in your lifestyle. So any patient that comes with PCOD, the first thing I tell them, and the most effective and long term treatment, is only lifestyle modification.
Okay.
Yes.
How do we identify that if we have PCOD or PCOS?
Yes. So there are basically three main criteria to diagnose PCOD. So first is menstrual irregularities, that is scanty periods, late periods, or not having periods at all. So first is menstrual irregularities. Second is hyperandrogenic symptoms, that is facial hair, acne, or hair loss. And third is when you get an ultrasound scan, you see polycystic ovaries. But any two of the three criteria, if they are present, you are a candidate of PCOD. So clinically, if a girl is having, facial hair and is having scanty periods and is obese, putting on weight, so you are clinically also, you can be diagnosed as PCOD.
Okay.
Mm.
Moving forward, I want to talk about pregnancy and the problems that nowadays ladies are facing. It's very common that every other person is having IVF treatment.
Yes, so basically, infertility is the problem these days. So again, with changing society, so females are opting for late marriages because obviously they are more focused on their careers, and they take time to find their life partner. So it is very common to have late marriages after 30 or 35, and after that they start planning.
According to you, what
Mhm.
age should we, plan our marriage and plan our kid?
Okay. So, well, I'm nobody to tell that what is the ideal age to get married or plan a baby. But biologically, if you ask
Yeah,
me,
biology.
20s is the ideal age to bear a baby. Ideally, before 30, you should try for a baby, because after that, all kinds of complications and difficulties start happening. Because your egg reserve starts declining very rapidly after 30, and especially after 35 years. And pregnancy related complications also increase. The incidence of genetic disorders in baby, they also increase. So yes, of 25 to 30 may be the ideal age for planning a child.
Okay.
Yes.
What is the difference between vaginal delivery and C-section delivery?
Yes. So obviously, vaginal delivery is a normal mode of delivery, and the C-section is the abdominal approach, or in common language, we can say operation. Okay, so taking out the baby through your abdomen. So that is a C-section or cesarean section. So there are different indications for the two. For cesarean section, there are several indications like central placenta previa, what we call it, that is low lying placenta. So if you are at risk of bleeding during a normal delivery, so that is one indication. Other than that, if the baby size is too big or the pelvis is not adequate to have a normal delivery, that could be an indication. Some medical complications like hypertension, diabetes, jaundice, they may also land up into cesarean section. So there are different indications for the two. The gynecologist and the obstetrician will only take the decision of having whether a normal delivery or a cesarean section. So it is always an individual approach. So as per the patient. Yes.
Is it your call or the mother's call? Like if somebody is not okay having a vaginal baby.
See, at the end, it is an obstetrician's call that what is safe for the baby and safe for the mother.
Right.
But and see, obviously, we always try to have a normal delivery because that is a natural mode of delivery, and it has its own benefits. Like the mother can resume her daily routine just 6 hours after the delivery, she is active and good to go. And after cesarean section, maybe after 2 or 3 days, she is able to resume her proper daily activities. So the recovery part is different. Recovery time is different in the two modes of delivery, but that decision will depend on the medical condition of the patient. Like what kind of pregnancy is she having? Is she having a high risk pregnancy with complications? So that only guides which kind of mode of delivery we'll opt for.
Right. You spoke about the recovery time.
Right.
So can you tell, is it person to person, or like is there a particular amount of days that you should take rest after?
After delivery,
Right.
so after normal vaginal delivery, so the mother can start with the normal activities. I'm saying just maybe 6 hours after delivery.
Right.
Yes, it definitely depends on person to person, also on your nutrition level, on your build, on any medical condition if you are having. So that also does affect your recovery time. And in a cesarean section, after 24 hours, we mobilize the patient. We ask her to start walking and start solid food. So that is after 24 hours,
Right.
and that will also depend on the general health and condition of the mother. Right.
Okay. What are the precautions that you should take during that time?
So precautions after a cesarean section, uh, that your doctor, the general treatment which is done post operatively, all the medications and injections and IV fluids will be given after cesarean section. And the food intake is started generally 6 to 8 hours after the delivery, that is after a cesarean section. And just follow your doctor's advice, and that is the only precaution you need to take.
Okay. There is another thing called menopause.
Right.
What is menopause, and what are the precautions that we should take during that time?
Right. So, medically speaking, menopause is cessation of your menses or your periods. So, when the periods or your menses stop at a certain age, the average age in India is around 52. So that is the age when a female normally achieves a menopause and stops with her periods. Then there are certain changes in her body that take place simultaneously with this. Like she can have some symptoms like hot flashes and night sweats, or she can start putting on weight. She may have mood swings. So all these can happen during this period. Well, some females may have a absolutely smooth menopause. They may not feel anything during menopause, but for them, for some, it may be quite distressing also.
Okay.
So the precautions start from firstly from your natural remedies, like looking after your nutrition and diet. So taking more of whole grains, fruits, and limiting the intake of fats and refined sugar in your diet.
Okay.
Side by side exercising, all kind of exercises are good. Aerobic exercising, strength training is especially good at this time. It will help you retain your muscle mass and your bone mass, and which you are very prone to lose after menopause. Your bones become weak and you can lose your bone mass. So exercise is very good. Then other than that, yoga, meditation, all these relaxation techniques, they can help you go smoothly through menopause. But still, if you are having problems, you see your gynecologist. We can offer you some medication, hormonal and non-hormonal. So hormonal is HRT, or hormonal replacement therapy. So we can put them on short course of estrogen if they're having very distressing symptoms. But as I said, most effective is to go for natural remedies and making changes in your lifestyle. So that will help you go through menopause safely and smoothly.
During menopause, what would you advise the men? How should they take care of their wife?
Yeah, so men do play a crucial role there also. They need to give just unconditional love and support to their partner,
Right.
because their wives must be going through a tough time. So that's where, love, support, and tender loving care, what we call,
Right.
is that plays a crucial role. Not just men, the family, the children, all need to be supportive at this time.
Could you explain if somebody is going through a situation where a girl gets pregnant accidentally? What are the first steps to follow?
I think the first step is to confront your parents, because sometimes it could be having legal implications. So you need to tell your parents about it, especially if you are below 18, and if you are a minor, you need a guardian to accompany you to a doctor and take the further treatment.
Right.
So medical termination of pregnancy can be offered, but again, there are prerequisites for that. There's an age for that, and the gestation of pregnancy has to be less than 24 weeks. So
Okay.
it's important that they don't pass that time if they want to seek medical termination of pregnancy. So, first thing is you go to your parents or your guardian, and they will take you a gynecologist, and she will take the call for you how to go about MTP.
So
Yeah.
when you have to terminate your baby, what is the first thing to do?
So, medical termination of pregnancy is of two types. It is medical, that is through medicine,
Okay.
that can be done up to 7 weeks
Okay.
safely. And other is surgical. So, that is through a procedure, what we call suction and evacuation. So, that is done after 7, 8 weeks. So, you will need to visit your gynecologist. She'll do a scan for you, she'll examine you, and then she'll guide you about the option whether you can take medical termination or you have to take surgical termination.
All right. Um, what is the next step after 24 weeks once the termination is done? Is there any implication that could happen in terms of your bodily problems? So, is there any precaution that time you have to take?
Yes, for some time you could feel weak, and at that time, the doctor will prescribe you some supplements for that. However, the recovery is quite fast after even an MTP. If you're taking proper diet and supplements, the recovery is quite fast in days or maximum weeks. So that's not a big problem.
Okay.
Mm.
You specialize in fertility.
Right.
So, can you talk a little bit about why infertility is happening nowadays,
Mhm.
and what are the precautions that we could take?
Yes. So, like the first thing we talked about was advancing female age is a big factor that affects your fertility, because with age, your egg reserve is what we call in medical language, that declines very rapidly after 30 or 35. and in some girls it may be even in your 20s. So one major factor is advancing age of the female for planning a child. Other than that, uh, lifestyle. So your diet, your nutrition level, your exercise, your body mass index. So all these factors play a role in defining your fertility. As I said, that PCOS is so rampant these days. So that is one major factor that is contributing to infertility, because again that depends on your lifestyle. It is because of your faulty diet and your again sedentary lifestyle.
Right.
So that is a major contributing factor to infertility. Other factors could be substance abuse, so abuse of drugs and alcohol, yes, or any kind of substance that again hampers your fertility.
Right.
Yes. So these are some of the factors to name a few. So yes, infertility is on the rise, and it is the amount of patients we are seeing of infertility has really increased. I would say in the past decade as compared to the earlier generations.
What are the treatments that we have to go through?
Yes. So first of all, if a couple is not able to conceive after 1 year of trying for pregnancy, then they must seek an evaluation by a gynecologist
Okay.
if the age of female is less than 35. And if her age is more than 35, we say that the evaluation should start even after 6 months of trying for pregnancy.
Right.
So, in the first go, the doctor will examine you. We'll seek your history, your medical history, your surgical history, any drug intake, or any other chronic condition you are having. Then we will make you go through some test, some basic test like about your hormonal imbalance, whether you have any condition like hypothyroidism, diabetes. We'll do a preliminary ultrasound scan to check if your ovaries and uterus are normal. Also, the male partner evaluation will go side by side. So, for the husband, the evaluation would be semen analysis. So,
Okay.
what is the sperm count and what is the motility and morphology? There are several parameters of sperms. So, that is all we check. And then we guide the patient accordingly. So, first line of treatment is always medical. So, we give them some medicines. We ask them to try in the fertile period. We tell them what is the fertile window when the ovulation happens and where you have chances of conceiving. So first step is always that, and correcting any hormonal imbalance if there is any. If they're not able to conceive with that also, then we offer them some artificial reproductive techniques is what we
Okay.
call, that constitute mainly techniques like IUI, that is intrauterine insemination.
Can you explain and elaborate a bit?
Yes. So IUI and IVF are the two ART techniques. So intrauterine insemination is a technique in which we take male sperm sample, we centrifuge it, we take the processed and the motile good sperms, and with a thin catheter or a pipe, to explain it easily, we put it inside the female uterus during the time of her ovulation.
Okay.
So it has two main advantages. One, the sperm sample is really concentrated, and there are good amount of motile sperms that we put in the uterus, and the sample is deposited directly into the uterus. So that increases the chance of pregnancy. So that is IUI. If that fails, then the next technique is IVF, which is in vitro fertilization, or in common language, what they call test tube baby.
Right.
So making babies in the test tube, to put it simply. So we stimulate the female, we extract her eggs, we extract the husband's sperm, and in the test tube or in the laboratory, we make embryos, and we deposit the embryos in the uterus of the mother. So it
Okay.
is a totally, what I say, artificial method of reproduction, that we are making babies in the laboratory and depositing it in the uterus of the female.
And how many weeks after that do we put it in the body?
See, the embryos can be, again, it's a whole it's a very vast field. I can, to tell you simply, the embryo transfer can be either fresh or frozen. So generally, we go for frozen embryo transfer. So we can freeze your embryos
Okay.
for months, for years.
Okay.
Yes, and they can be transferred whatever time suits you. So generally, if a couple is undergoing IVF, So in the very next cycle, they go for the embryo transfer. So they get their embryos transferred because they want to become pregnant at the earliest. But if they're extra embryos, they'll be frozen. And after several years, like 3-4 years, they can go for the transfer of that embryos.
Okay. And for how long is it valid? I mean, once you have
There is no
frozen.
limit. Okay,
Okay.
you can freeze it for an unlimited span.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. All right.
So that's how egg freezing also works. So you must
Right.
have heard of egg
Egg freezing. Yes.
So many girls, even celebrities, are opting for egg freezing.
Right.
Yes, because the biological clock is ticking and they don't want to conceive
Right.
when they are pursuing their careers. So they go for freezing their eggs at the right age, probably before 30.
Hmm.
So again, it is an artificial reproductive technique. We give them injections, we stimulate their ovaries so that the eggs are mature, and we extract the eggs and we keep them frozen in the laboratory. So that is what we call egg freezing. And they can be used after several years whenever she desires to be pregnant and she finds a suitable partner.
Right.
Mm.
But if somebody wants triplets or twins, how does that work?
So we can put more than one embryo in the uterus.
Okay.
So that can result in multiple pregnancy. So generally, we at our center are going for double embryo transfer. So they do have chances of becoming twins pregnancy.
Okay.
Yes. See, the international guidelines keep changing, and nowadays more inclination is towards single embryo transfer,
Okay.
because always a single pregnancy is a single baby, singleton pregnancy
Safer?
is safer. It has less complications. So twins or triplets, pregnancy has more complications, all kind of complication, medical complications, like more incidence of hypertension, diabetes,
Okay.
more incidence of preterm deliveries and low birth weight babies. So that's why more inclination us of as gynecologists and fertility experts is towards single egg transfer, single embryo transfer. Yes, but yes, you can opt for more than one embryo transfer, like double embryo transfer.
All
Yes.
right. There's a very common injection. I think it's for cervical cancer. So can you explain what that is, and at what age should a women go for it?
Right. So cervical cancer is the most common gynecological cancer in females in India,
Okay.
and it is preventive through a vaccine, so which is quite effective in preventing this cancer. So it is there's a virus called human papilloma virus, HPV virus, which is directly linked to cervical cancer, and we have a vaccine against it. The ideal age to get vaccinated is before the start of sexual activity. So all the unmarried and adolescent girls, they are the perfect candidates to go for this vaccine.
Okay.
The starting age is 9 years. So from
Okay.
9 years you can get this vaccine. So 9 to 14 years of age, there are only 2 doses of this vaccine. And after 14 years, it can be given up till 45 years of age. And then there are 3 doses. But the ideal age is when you are a virgin before the start of sexual activity. It is most effective at that time to prevent HPV virus.
Okay. So can you explain which other cancer is related to
Other gynecological cancers?
yeah.
Yes. So apart from cervical cancer, among the gynae cancers, ovarian cancer is also quite prevalent. So especially if you have a history of ovarian cancer in your family, like your mother or your aunt, then you should be you are at an increase, you may be at an increased risk of having that cancer. So there are no clear cut guidelines how to screen for it, how to prevent the cancer, but there are some screening tests, or there are some tests which we can use to pick this cancer at the earliest. There's a blood test and called CA-125, and there are other tumor markers, what we call them, that if their levels are increased, they are an indicator of cancer. Other than that, imaging techniques like a basic ultrasound, if that can pick an ovarian mass, an ovarian cyst, so that which can be an indication of cancer. So getting these regular ultrasound and a tumor marker test can help you prevent these cancer, detect these cancer at the earliest, so that you are given the best possible treatment at an earlier stage.
How can we find out that we have a cyst, and how is it built in our body?
If you ask me to broadly classify them, they are simple and complex. So they may be just some simple cysts which are to put it simply, a water-filled cyst, what we call as follicular cyst. They're a part of a normal physiological phenomenon. So they can happen during your cycle and they can get resolved in the next cycle. They can happen because of ovulation also. So they are simple cysts. They're asymptomatic. You don't feel anything. They may just be an incidental finding if you get scanned. And they have no complex features on imaging techniques also. So complex cyst, they are the cysts which have some features on ultrasound like solid component or their consistency, or and they may not be that smooth. So there are some features on ultrasound that we can pick. If you ask as symptoms, sometimes these cysts can cause symptoms like bloating, heaviness, menstrual irregularities, painful periods, heavy periods. So if you are facing any such kind of a period, any such kind of a symptom, you should get an evaluation like a basic examination from a gynecologist, a pelvic examination, and imaging techniques.
Okay.
Yes.
And if somebody is getting lesser than the normal flow, what is the problem there?
Yes. So if you ask me about a normal menstrual cycle, any period which is 3 to 7 days is a normal mm, uh, period. So any period flow which is less than 3 days or more than 7 days, both are abnormal. Less than 3 days would be a scanty period or hypomenorrhea in our language, and more than 7 days is what girls call heavy periods or what we call menorrhagia. So both are abnormal. In both these conditions, you need evaluation and and treatment likewise.
You said scanty period, and can you explain that a little?
Yes, again, period having period less than 3 days is a scanty period or what we call hypomenorrhea. It could be,
What does that mean? Can you explain
yeah,
the word?
hypomenorrhea is scanty period. Okay, that is it. Yes. So having a period less than 3 days, having less flow. Okay, so that is a hypomenorrhea or scanty period. The causes could be hormonal, like thyroid disorders, or any hormonal disturbance like prolactin is a hormone, hyperprolactinemia. And very commonly, PCOS is related to a scanty period or hypomenorrhea. So, or it could be because of nutritional deficiencies, anemia. So, these are the common causes that cause a scanty period.
Okay. Can we talk about nutrition? Because a lot of people feel like eating chocolates, processed food. What are the nutritions that we should take during that time?
Yes, girls do tend to have craving for sweet or chocolates.
Right.
It is a part of PMS or premenstrual symptoms. But during your periods, to avoid period pain and excessive PMS, it is recommended that you avoid caffeine and excess salt intake, excess sugar intake. So these should be limited. And taking more of fresh fruits, whole grains, and less of processed food and saturated fats. That is best recommended during this time.
So, can you tell any interesting case that you have faced, and how did you manage it?
Well, there are so many interesting cases. Like every day, we face like really different and interesting situations, especially in infertility. Um, but not interesting. But there are some patients with whom I've been associated for like 2 3 years. Right from the beginning, they were not able to conceive. Then, with the help of surgery and some medicine, they conceived. The pregnancy was a little eventful. It had a little complications, and finally, the female, she delivered a beautiful baby boy, and that was really special. So at times like these, I realize that it's really rewarding. You feel really blessed to have given someone the gift of a birth, a gift of life,
Right.
which is no less than a miracle. So these situations are really rewarding. So there are some patients like these which I remember, and they're still in touch with me. And yeah, it's really special. They all all are really special to me. Yes.
There's this movie called Bad News,
Yes.
and in that movie, there are two different fathers, and
Yes,
yeah,
of different babies who have been conceived in the same cycle. I've
right.
not seen the movie, but I've heard about it. It was heterotropic superfecundation, what
Okay.
the doctor mentioned in the movie. Yes, it's a very rare phenomenon.
Okay.
We have only read in books. Honestly, I've never seen any patient like that. But yes, it is a proven thing that can happen. Like in the same cycle, twins were conceived from two different partners. So the mother had two babies with different fathers.
Right.
So yeah, that was a really interesting movie. But no, I haven't seen such a case in my lifetime.
Okay. And if two babies are joined together,
Yes, conjoined twins,
yeah.
Siamese twins.
Okay.
Right.
What are there any complications, and what is the life? I mean, I've heard, I don't know if it can be a myth, that their life is shorter than normal.
So it depends on what kind of conjoined twins are they. Are they joint at the head or at the abdomen? Whether they share a common like a liver or other vital organs. So there are numerous types of conjoined twins, and their life expectancy depends on again what vital organs they are sharing. So generally, they are incompatible with life. So mostly, if we diagnose conjoined twins prenatally, that is in the womb, we seek a pediatric surgeon consultation to see whether they are compatible with life after birth. But many times they may require termination, depending on what kind of conjoined twins they are.
All right. So, talking about sexual health, not everybody in India is comfortable talking about it. How do you educate them, and what are the uh, precautions or the first step mover that a person should take?
Yes, so education starts right from your home. So your mothers, your fathers, your elder siblings, they only can impart such awareness to the children. And in school, their teachers and they are the best guides to give them proper education about sexual issues, their sexual health, because these children are at risk of having teenage pregnancies, sexually transmitted diseases, all kind of infections. So it could be really dangerous and could have catastrophic implications even on their mental health if they're not able to share such incidences with anyone. So education is very important and it starts right from your home, right from the mother and from the teachers. So giving them proper education, guiding them, and if they are in any problem, they can seek a consultation from a gynecologist. That is where we play a role to help them guide about whatever problems they are facing. Yes.
Talking about menopause, there are a lot of people who get pre-menopause before time.
Yes.
Why does it happen, and what precautions are there again?
Okay. So premenopause or early menopause could be anywhere before 40 years of age. So there are several factors that can lead to a premature menopause. Most important would be familial. So sometimes in your family it runs that you get an early menopause, like in your mother or your aunt or your grandmother may be having an early menopause. So familial and genetic factors play a major role in this. Apart from that, if the mother has had any medical condition that can lead to a premature menopause, like some ovarian cyst or sometimes it could be surgical removal of the ovaries,
Right.
I guess, for any condition or a cyst or an ovarian mass. So these are all factors that can lead to premature menopause. Chemotherapy or any other drugs usage can also lead to these factors, to lead to premature menopause. So precautions, if you ask me, so premature menopause is no will also impact your overall health. So you can have an early aging. So your bones will start to become more fragile with time. You will start losing your muscle. Your skin will start wrinkling. So again, having proper nutrition at this time is very important. Having regular exercises is very important, and adding to that we can give them a hormonal therapy to so that they can have to prevent osteoporosis and other urogenital problems, what we call it. And even if they are having distressing symptoms like hot flashes or night sweats,
Okay.
so that is where we play a role.
Sometimes what happens is that people have to get rid of their ovary
Right.
during this time. What are the cases, and why does this happen?
Yes, again, if you have an ovarian cyst or an ovarian mass which is suspicious of a cancer, so that way, that cases may require a removal of ovary. So that are the cases that we operate. Again, ovarian cyst or ovarian mass, they are the candidates for ovarian removal.
What does ovarian mass mean?
Any abnormal enlargement in the ovary,
Okay.
or what we just called a cyst. So any solid component which is not normal, which is more any abnormal growth in the ovary, which can be suspicious of cancer. So in that cases, they remove removal
Okay.
to further evaluate them whether they have any cancerous component or not.
Okay. How do you guide your patients regarding contraceptions?
Yes, so when a patient comes, we give them all options of contraceptives. That is what we call the basket approach, giving them a variety of options for contraception. It depends on what suits them, for how long they want contraception,
Right.
and any medical condition if they have. So if they want contraception for a short time, so barrier contraceptive, that is condom, that is the best. If they want for a longer time, for 2, 3, or up to 5 years, then we can go for an intrauterine contraceptive device, or copper T, what we call in common language. And for long term, again, we can offer them some pills. So there are different types of pills, like combined oral contraceptive pills, or progesterone only pills, and in case of emergency, an eye pill, what we call. So these are the contraceptive options. All are safe, all are effective. So that will depend on what for how long you want a contraception. So that's how your doctor will guide you.
There's a show called Friends. In that, it's said that 97% of condoms actually work. So is it a myth or is it true?
Yes, all contraceptives do have their failure rate, and condoms have a failure rate of about 2%. So, Ross was not wrong in saying that yes, there's a 97% effectivity of condoms. 97 to 98 it is, right?
Okay. Where does India stand globally in technology, in gynecology?
Like in any field of medicine, so gynae is also an evolving field, and especially Indian doctors and gynecologists, they are doing a lot of research, and nowadays there are recent technologies that they are emerging. Even AI, artificial intelligence,
Right.
even that can have a potential role in guiding us through our treatment procedure. So there are some branches, there are some fields where this AI is being explored.
Oh, that's interesting.
Yes, so like in diagnosis,
Okay.
so they can help in better diagnosis in like imaging techniques like ultrasound, MRIs. So they can pick up signs to detect whether there is any lesion is cancerous. So that is where AI can play a role.
Okay.
Other than that, even in management, so this AI, there are some apps that are being developed. They can also help the doctor, the gynecologist, to come to a decision through evidence-based recommendation, where the AI app can help the doctor.
Okay.
However, the doctor's expertise and clinical sense and experience and knowledge and instincts,
Right.
they remain the prime guiding light. But still AI can play a role. They can help. The technologies can always help us make a decision through our treatment procedures.
But do you think that AI can take over?
No, never. See, AI can never take over a human mind.
Right.
Whatever human mind or a doctor can learn in her lifetime, or the skill, the expertise, and the gut instincts, so they can never be matched by AI. That's what I feel. And I think even in IVF, AI can have a role.
Okay.
Yes, so it is being studied upon that AI can help in choosing better quality of eggs, sperms, and embryos for better outcomes in IVF. So that is also a rapidly emerging field.
In India, do you think is there anywhere that we have started research with AI?
Yes, many researchers are working on this, not even in India, in other parts of world also.
Right.
And let's see in coming years, maybe there is something we can see even with AI. It can help in the
That
treatment procedure.
interesting.
Yes, it would be.
Right. Thank you so much. It was lovely having you.
Yes, same here. Thank you for having me. Thank you for giving me a chance to interact with the audience. So I had a great time with you.
Is there any message that you want to give it to the audience?
Stay safe, have good nutrition, stay active, But if there is a problem, never hesitate to see a doctor, and that's it.
Like,
Share, subscribe to Dopamine High.
thank you.